happened?
I don't know. You started giggling. You started giggling
So
like
excited.
3
I'm like, can we
seconds
just
before we
start?
went live. Oh my goodness. Hi everyone. Hello. Welcome back to Adobe Office Hours. If you're joining us for the first time, this is the show that is all kinds of wiggly and giggly. I don't know why, but it happens right as we're going live. Nick or I will get the giggles, and in the background you'll hear just little.
How did we get a Friday show?
I don't.
I think that's
How did we get the Friday show to end the week? That's the question.
yes.
How did
I
someone give us
know.
this time slot? It's my favorite thing ever, and I love that we have this time slot. It feels right to just wind down the week. Nick,
Yeah.
how's your week? Good?
It's beyond busy and crazy.
Okay.
I am so excited. It's Friday. This is the best way to end the week.
It's true.
For sure. How about you?
It's true. It was a fantastic, crazy week. Same thing. Totally insane. Ready to wind down. And Nick, I have a question for you and for chat, just to
Yo.
get us started with something random. Chat, go ahead and put in the chat window, what in your brain would be the best unconventional pie? Nick, what would be the best unconventional pie, do you think, right? Not something you can get like off a shelf, like something in your brain that you're
Sure.
like, I want that, but in a pie. I know any thought. It's a weird question. I think.
Taco?
Oh, yeah, I would want a taco
Pizza?
pie. I
Pizza pie? But made like a pie?
oh, and
Like
it's just
taco
cheese, and it's just so much cheese. I actually love
Yes.
that. I
I'm confused right now.
I for some reason wanted like a cereal pie of some sort, right? That's got like the
Okay.
like cream in there, and then the outside's like the crunchy cereal and little bits on top. I don't know. I was just thinking about pies as we got started.
One of those. Yes, I know.
It's one of those days, y'all. Welcome back to Adobe Office Hours. Nick, what is this show actually? What do we do
Yeah,
here?
let's go back
What-
to the
yeah.
originally. What is our definition?
What do we do? What are we doing besides talking about pies?
We're here we're really here just to help you guys out with your design dilemmas. This show has evolved from being a portfolio review, a full fall semester. We've done great homework. We went abroad with mobile apps, and now we are tackling really cool design dilemmas and showing you how we actually would go through the process and solve it ourselves.
Yes, and we're almost back to the roots of Office Hours a little bit with the format of this show, Office Hours to the Rescue. We're going to be hanging out. We're going to be talking. Today, we're giving you a whole bunch of advice, a whole bunch of insider thoughts with someone's issues that they're finding in their creative career. And so if you have any issues or any hurdles or anything that you're concerned about that you'd like us to talk about, you can do one of two things. One, you can submit your creative emergency down here at the link. It's in the weirdest spot. It's like the corner of my window. So right down there, yes, bit.ly/ohrescue. Submit your problem and we'll feature you on an episode. And the second way that you can get involved is to go over to our Discord. There it is over there. You can join that Discord at bit.ly/ohhangout. I'm sure a moderator will drop it in there. And Nick, we're doing something special with our Discord today. What are we doing at the end of this show? Actually, we're doing two special things, but what are we doing at the end of this show with our Discord?
I know we'll probably have a great giveaway for sure.
We'll probably have a great giveaway, yes.
Yes.
And then
we're also going to ask you guys specifically about what kind of problems we could tackle here.
Yes. So right now, if you see over in the corner here in this chatting section, there is a voice chat happening right now. Ardor, Elizabeth, and Steven are all in there. And you can type in the chat window, but in there you can hang out and you can talk. So go join that voice channel. And what we're going to do at the end of the show is we are going to select someone from that voice chat, bring them on, and if they have a question, have them ask that question to us. Y'all can decide in that voice chat who you nominate, and at the end of the show, we'll bring one of them on if we have time, and we'll be able to do a little bit of live interaction, which should be super fun, or it could be a complete technical disaster and set the entire stream on fire.
That's what we're here for.
Who knows? That's what we're here for. We're pioneers,
Yes.
absolute pioneers.
I like that. It's our very own personal clubhouse. That's exactly what it is.
That's true. That is what we are. And if it is not just our clubhouse, it can be all of our clubhouse. If you want to send out and tweet to your friends that this show's happening right now, you can do that. Use hashtag Adobe Office Hours. And yes, the after party always happens over on Discord as well. We hang out, do some giveaways, do a little voice chat after the show in that chat channel on Discord as well. So, Nick, all these notifications are giving me anxiety.
I know. I saw that. Sorry, Jasmine.
I need you to know that that's not even the beginning of the notifications in my life or even just on this screen. That's like 20% of what's happening on here. Yes, Lisa, keep it loose. Loosey-goosey, loosey-goosey. All right. So, Nick, I think today we don't have any more announcements. Is it time for a phone bit?
Let's
Okay.
go through the checklist one last time.
Nick, I think that we have a phone call coming in.
Hi, my name is Sophia and I'm the Adobe Ambassador at the University of Utah. I specialize in photo and video, and when I'm not in class, I'm doing freelance work, and I have a couple of questions regarding that. So first one, how do I get more clients? And the second one is, where can I put my work? My work currently is all over the place on YouTube, Instagram. I have an old website, and I have some links where you can click on and it takes you to the old website, but I also have it all over. How can I be more organized with this? And lastly, my last question is, how do I price my work? Do I use an hourly fee, a flat rate? And this is specifically for video, which is what I like to do the most. So let me know.
All right. So we had our friend Sophia, and the issues that we're facing today with Sophia that we will come to the rescue for are threefold. First up, Nick, we are going to be talking about how to find more clients. Sophia's having some trouble finding clients. Then we're going to talk about where to post things. And lastly, probably the favorite thing that everyone wants to talk about. Nick, you're going to cover a lot of this content. What are we talking about at the end?
Pricing.
Money. That's right. We are talking about all those
bills,
things.
y'all.
Yes, all those things today. So Nick, what time is it, Nick?
It's office hours to the rescue time.
All right, we are here and we are ready. We are hanging out with Sophia G, from University of Utah, Adobe Ambassador there. And I think that she's logging in as we speak. And yes, intro time. It's always intro time here. We're going to be talking about a lot of things. Nick and I are just going to be going back and forth today. I'm going to be covering a little bit of the initial kind of where do we find clients, because that's a question that comes up a lot on this show. If you've watched this show, you know that we've talked about it over and over and over again about how to find clients. So I'm going to try to give you some different perspective on how to find clients. Then we're going to talk about not necessarily just where you can post your work, but what kind of work to post in those places. So let's go ahead and hop right into our lecture for the day by pushing this button that says lecture. So starting out, and yes, Giratima has the same question. Laura drinking mezcal.
I know.
Wow.
Laura.
Also, chat, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm gonna be so easily distracted today, because I just haven't been reading chat and streaming at all this week. And so when I see little words pop up,
looking out.
If I go all over the place,
I saw that magic word there. I was like, ooh,
man, yeah. If
someone's starting a little early.
My desk is covered with Lindt chocolates, so not the
Nice.
same, but same zone. All right, so let's get into actually talking about this show. Oh boy. So how do you start getting more clients? Let's talk about it. So I have a couple things of advice, and the first thing, when I was looking through some of Sophia's work and kind of hearing the struggles that she's going through, I think that there's actually another side to this, that it's not about going to find clients. A lot of times it's about helping the clients find you, right? That it's not reaching out, it's being able to just hold your hand and say, hey, I'm over here, I'm over here, come find me, come this way, and guiding them to your work, guiding them to the kind of creative that you are, and guiding them to your perspective is really important. And so I actually want to hop in, Nick, and let's start out this show by looking at Sophia's work. Sophia is on the Insta, just like the Facebook, on the Insta. And over here you can follow, at just Sofia Visuals if y'all want to follow along. And looking here, Nick, what are your initial impressions?
I like the first impression I get, that one, great profile pic, Love the idea that you've got the camera in there as well. You're showing a little personality, which is great. You're a college student. I think that's kind of what we are expecting, when we look at this kind of stuff. But I do like you go right into a series of, you got your 3-block kind of system going here. One thing that I like just automatically is I'm seeing a good tonal value in the 3 across, and then it changes to the next one, and it should change, right? Like, you don't want to have a duplicate of each one. It shows flexibility, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I
love the story that you're telling through your Instagram. We're actually going to talk about that a little bit later. But I love that you are telling a story with kind of these series of photos instead of the one-offs. And it feels cohesive to me. The way that you're editing, the toning, kind of the emotions in a lot of these are very cohesive. And I'm trying to think of if I actually love it or not. I love, for where you are now, having the DM to shoot in your bio. I think that that's really good for what it looks like a lot of your work is, that it's kind of portraits, it's events, it's, headshots, that kind of work. I think that it feels personable from your headshot to that bio, just saying, hey, DM me to shoot, to then seeing the work. It feels personable. It feels like I understand who you are, what I'm kind of getting into. I think if you want to break into more, high fashion, more of like agency kind of shooting, or shooting for agency, I think that the DM to shoot isn't as fitting, but I think that it fits for where you are right now.
I agree.
Right? That's what
also too. I know what you're saying. It's kind of like that perception, right, that you get by seeing that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I was trying to think if I actually liked that or didn't like that, but for where you are, I think it fits. I do think that there will be an evolution coming soon to where you can start to shift that, but I do like where you are right now. And yes, the lighting is gorgeous, Laura. I agree.
Yeah. I would like to see maybe if she's really pushing the effort on video, to maybe the middle one is a video component of that series.
Yes.
I've seen that done a lot of times too, but if I'm coming to you because someone referred me and said, you got to check out Sofia, she'd be great to video your event. I don't see any here. So maybe that'd be a first thing I would do, is to start incorporating that into the mix.
I agree. I definitely agree. And I think let's go ahead and click on the link in the website. And Sofia did say that it's an outdated website. And so we're going to go ahead and click here. And this is part of helping clients find you, right? We found you on Instagram. Oh man, we want to see more of your work. We're going to click on this link that's in your bio. But when we go here, it doesn't look like there's a lot of work on this page. We can click in and it starts to show some stuff. But it's more kind of like landscape. It's very different from what your Instagram was. We can click into portraits, and these portraits are even different from what you're showing on Instagram as well. And so sometimes it's about helping them find you and getting them the right work. And then the next thing that's kind of on that idea is making sure that they understand you. So finding you is one thing, and I think that you're doing okay with finding. You've got your Instagram, you've got your website. The website could obviously need some updating, but that comes to helping them understand you. And that's, what's your perspective? Who are you as a creative? What value are going to bring to them? I think that I can see that in your Instagram and not necessarily on your website or in some of the other work.
Do you think maybe having the link to the website might be, I would maybe take it down at this point and even do a coming soon or something, or do a link tree with a ton of other things. Maybe your Behance has a little bit more, or something else you want to show, but maybe if it's not ready, don't publish the link.
Yep, exactly. Yep. And we're actually going to talk about that later, about the idea of if you don't have a finished product to put out there, just don't put anything out there. Don't feel pressure to have a website in your bio. If it's not ready, then it's not ready.
Perfect.
So continuing on, what's your story and why do potential clients want to be a part of it? I think you actually do this really well. When we looked at your Instagram just now, right? I looked at it and I was like, oh, I totally get it. Your story is that you meet people at certain points in their lives, that you join them on their journeys, and you document like momentous occasions, right? And you see the headshots that you're doing, you do the senior graduations, you see the weddings. And to me, I think that you actually have a really great version of this. But for other viewers, figuring out what's your story and why would potential clients want to partner with me specifically, and how do I show that? And I think that, Sophia, I think you're doing a great job at showcasing that.
What do you think about throwing in a picture or two of maybe a picture of her taking one of the pictures in that series too?
Yes.
I think adding you reduces the idea of like the mystery. Like, well, who is this photographer that I'd be hiring? A great shot of her smiling, taking pictures, or the behind the scenes could be really neat too.
Yeah. Yep. And it's always great to have a second shooter come with you. Even if it's someone that's learning or whatever, can just shoot
iPhone.
Behind the scenes,
matter.
iPhone, whatever. So continuing on, how to get more clients, find your flex. And you've heard me talk about this. I use this term all the time of flexing, and it basically is, how do you show off your work, right? What's the humble brag? And I think that there's a couple different categories. So you've heard me talk about flexing on scale, right? If you can do something really well and do a whole bunch of it, then that's the flex on scale. But I think that if you're trying to get more clients, you can go after specific flexes that will get you specific clients. So you can do quality, right? That you flex on, this is just really, really good work. You don't have to have a ton of it. You don't have to have the full case studies. You just need to have really, really good work. You can flex on scale, like we've talked about, that you can do a whole bunch of things. You can flex on efficiency, right? To do a full campaign and say, hey, I did this as a practice in efficiency and finished the entire thing in 1.5 hours, right? This wedding, we went and shot on the weekend, and by Wednesday, the bride had their photos, right? So being able to flex on efficiency is one, and then ideation to show just how creative your work is, because that's something that, again, will get you clients if they can notice those specific things.
You know, a good spot to do all those is in the stories. Like,
yes.
if she has a sketch or a layout of the planned filming she was going to do, and she's on the set of it, and you pan from that to the actual real deal, always remember what a non-photographer is going to appreciate when they look at this thing.
Yep.
Because then it's like, you are the pro, Sophia, and they'll see that. And I think that's why I love stories. It's like that cool little part to put those things in, knowing you got to keep that fresh.
Yep.
You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And especially because you were talking about video, I think this idea goes into video really, really well, right? That I would rather see, okay, Nick, have you seen the shot of the drone that flies into the bowling alley?
I mean, that is the best thing I've ever seen.
It's the coolest thing. So if you guys haven't seen it, you can look it up on YouTube. It's just a single shot of a drone that flies into a bowling alley and goes through. And that's, I mean, it's
real.
Exactly. It's a 2-minute video, and that's flexing on quality, right? It's flexing on quality and ideation,
Innovation.
right? That it's literally 2 minutes. I don't need any more shots. I don't need it to be like, oh, they got the information communicated the fastest they could, right? That it's the flex on, this is innovation and this is super high quality. And so when you're talking about trying to get more clients, being able to just say, cool, here is a 2-hour film that I made, right? That's flexing on scale. Or being like, here is literally a 30-second shot that's the most gorgeous shot you've ever seen. Can you
imagine the list of clients they have now after doing that? That just put them on the map. I didn't look to see who it was, but it was shared so much last week on Twitter, and for all the right reasons. It's incredibly
Taika Waititi retweeted it and was like, oh yeah, we're hiring him to come out to do behind the scenes now. Like,
that's what I saw.
And it was literally like a 2-minute video that was just a flex on an idea and the insane quality. So if you can find your flex, find it and just hit it.
That's great, dude.
Next is let your clients see themselves in your work. And this, I think, like, of the things that we can talk about, you absolutely hit this on the nose. Like, you have a diverse kind of look of clients. You have a diverse like setups of clients, you have diverse lighting of clients. Like, everything that you have is open, and it's not like, oh man, only this specific person is going to hire her for a very specific thing. Looking at your Instagram, it's very much like, cool, it looks like anyone could hire you for anything. And so I feel like I could see myself, right, shooting with you. I looking through the Instagram, right? Looking through the Instagram here, we can see, right? I can see myself here in the studio on this white wall in my like black jeans, like sunglasses, like leaning up. I can see myself in the park with like my button up for like a senior photo. Like I can see myself in these settings and being the person. And so you did a great job at a potential client seeing these and being like, oh my gosh, I want that shot. I want that magic moment.
Yeah, this might be a good spot to add. Could a client add the testimonial in there about how they got you into the work, because I think a lot of times subject matters are really shy. And I've always admired photographers or videographers that know how to make the person at the other side of the camera very comfortable.
Yes.
So I'm sure she looks like a sweet girl. We've seen her video. I'm sure she's great at that. How do you get that out there? Throw in a testimonial.
Yep.
That would be ridiculously good.
Testimonials are the best. Fantastic. Especially because it, one, gives you good feedback, and two, I mean, that's a whole nother flex that allows you to brag on yourself without bragging on yourself.
It's like bedside manners that a doctor has,
Exactly.
Like client relations as well. But to make you comfortable, I mean, I remember the first time ever having to do that for a company photo. And I was like, this person knows how to get the best picture of every single person based on how you walk in, and they could tell how shy you are or how introverted, extroverted you are. It's a great skill to have.
Yep.
Yeah.
So next up, build the mental Rolodex. Invest in potential clients relationally and intentionally. So this is something that has done a world of change for me. And that's not just trying to find clients, but build relationships, right? And we talk a lot about this of going to conferences and trying to make friends and not connections.
Yeah.
But it also is a lot of maintenance of keeping up with that, right? So I have a client, his name is Josh. And I know that Josh has just hired a new marketing manager, and his new marketing manager is learning how to use InDesign to make signage. And so I can follow up with Josh about, hey, how's that signage coming? How's Dalton doing? Oh, Dalton's going to hit me up. Great. And now I'm consulting with Dalton. Oh, you need some help with signage? And now I got a job doing signage. And so it's very much keeping tabs on things, right? Of maybe for you specifically, Sophia, I have, a client that I did a shoot with for a product, right? We did like a product shoot, right? I know that his daughter is also a junior in high school. So next year I need to remember that they're going to need senior photos. And so I'm going to make a mental note that when senior photo season wraps around, I know that this client is now a potential other client by keeping that Rolodex in your head. And I always think of, I think it was Dan Draper would have notes with like how many kids each person had. Michael Scott. Oh, it was Michael Scott. That's so funny.
Wow.
That's so funny.
You chose the opposite ends of the spectrum when it came to people portrayed on TV.
That's so true.
Two of my favorites. But Don Draper had his secretary to figure that out.
Yes. But it is very helpful to take it out of work and get into real life and be like, cool, where are the real life opportunities coming?
It's all there for you, particularly if you're following each other and you get to see the insides of what they're doing and what's happening in their lives.
Yes.
This is a great thing. I know when someone does it to you, you kind of think, wow, that's really thoughtful. So a great way to do it is to do it back to your potential new client.
Oh yeah. The times that I will post a workout video or something, right? That's just my regular life. It's not design. I'm not promoting anything. I'm just like, I'm working out. Here you go. And then I see someone at a conference or something and they're like, oh, dude, you've been like working out a lot, right? And I'm like, oh, it's weird because we sit on our screens, we push the button and it goes into space. And then hearing like, oh, people are listening and people are seeing, that's always a good feeling. And so you're able to give that to a potential client, give them that feeling, which is building that equity that you don't have to sell them on yourself. You can be like, cool, I am genuinely invested and interested in your life, so let's work together.
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right, continuing on, figure out how to move into their heads rent-free. This slide is strictly because I was watching TikToks as I was making this slide deck. And I was like, let's live in their heads rent-free. So what I mean by this is figure out what's the thing they remember you for. What's the viral, what's the big splash, what's the publicity stunt? And especially if you're talking about video, right? We don't know who this guy is, but we remember his bowling alley video, right? Oh, it's the bowling alley drone video guy, right? Nick is probably like, oh, he's like the can guy. He's like the 3D can guy. That's what I would think. And I'm probably like, oh, he's the MC guy. That was my like splash, whatever. Figure out what is something that could make a splash specifically between your friend group, and then maybe your friend group, it grows larger than that, and then larger than that, and larger than that. That's really a great way to start to get clients to just remember who you are and stay in their brain, right? I can't tell you how many speaking things have happened because people are like, oh, I saw the MC campaign thing you did. And I'm like, cool, I intended that for a very small group of people who are like going to be inside in the joke.
Yeah.
And it grew and grew and grew. And then we got canceled con, and then it turned into this whole thing. But if you figure out what's the splash I can make in my community, and it's almost the equivalent of like throwing a rock into a lake and then catching the droplets as they fall, right? You're not going to catch everything.
Ripple effect.
Exactly. Everything ripples, and you catch a few new clients out of that it's all about kind of pulling that through. Sorry, I'm reading chat. I've just read some testimonials of my classmates on LinkedIn, and it sounded beautiful and super supportive. Oh, again, man, I did it. I made the mistake of reading chat and getting distracted. Nick, have you ever been on Rate My Professor?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I want everyone who's a student here to know that, like, if you fill that out, 100% every single one of your professors are on there, like, reading them.
Oh, yes.
I've definitely gone
on like scores. Exactly.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
I think it's fallen off a little bit. It was really hot like 3 or 4 years ago. It's just not as much as it was back in the day.
Yep.
But it's so funny.
Yep. And Yoni has a great insight. Make it so they can't ignore you. 100%. Yes.
Martin's line. I love that.
And this is the mentality that Amy and Jen Hood have, right? Put yourself in rooms that you don't belong in and see what happens. And that's 100%. That is a great way to find new clients, is to just like jump off a cliff and see who catches you. Honestly, go with an idea. You have to go all in on it and see what comes of it. And especially for video and photography, things that are visual, it's all about having that great idea and execution, and you can really make a huge impact. Whereas, you know, if you're doing copywriting, it's really hard to make that big kind of viral impact. But with video and with photography, like, you're golden. Figure out that idea and execute it. All right. And talking about showing work. Okay, we're switching now. Switching topics. There was supposed to be a sound effect, but my mouth didn't do anything, and my fingers just went. So this is talking about the second part of Sofia's quandary, is how to show off the work, right? We looked at the website, and the website was a little outdated, a little rough. Instagram looked pretty good. And I think that for people that are trying to get new clients and showcasing their work, it's great to have levels. So we want to give them an entry level, a credibility level, and then a flex. So a level where it's, you know, hey, I want you to know that I do video. That's the sell, right? I'm not telling you that I'm the best videographer. I just want you to know that I do video. Then we get to credibility. Here's a video that I did for X, Y, or Z. Here's the shots from this wedding that I got hired to do, right? Oh, they've gotten hired for a wedding, right? You start to get that credibility, and then you flex on, oh, here's this full 15-minute recap of this event that I shot, right? Then you start to flex on, this is how good I am once you've built those three, but you need to have levels to kind of bring them on, especially when you're starting from where you are, right, Nick?
Yeah,
from having
these are levels. Yeah, you start with that foundation and you just lay each one on top of it. And that's the right order too, I believe too, because you can't go right into, I think, maybe the flex. Like someone can. I think, like, if you look at someone that gets that viral moment, great. But having the foundation first and then adding the credibility, the proof, then flex is like the frosting. You're like, boom.
100%, I agree. And I think that trying to go for credibility without the entry, it's that same thing we talk about. Like, we need to know that you suck before you're great. That if you try to go straight into like, establishing your credibility, then it feels like you're trying to like sell us on something. And I'm like, no, I just need the entry level to know what you do and to see your work. And then you can start to get more credible, and then you can really flex on it. So we're going to talk about platforms. You talked about having your website, having Instagram. Your work is kind of all over the place. You want to focus on video, but maybe photography. Nick, where's the best place? Well, maybe not the best place, but where's a great resource?
Behance is your best spot to kind of at least start with. And I think too, with video, it would probably look fantastic, right?
Yes.
Just as good. I like it too, because it's so unintimidating. I think there's something cool about it. And you can always bounce back to it. You can turn it into a portfolio if you need to as well with that feature. But to me, it's always that thing. I know if I'm building anything for the site, it obviously goes on Behance as well.
Yep.
So that's a really great ground base to kind of start with.
I agree. Yeah, I think that there are specific things that I would like to see. And again, there's no wrong or right answer to the things that we say. That I think there are very specific things that I want to see on each of these platforms. And I do think that Behance doesn't necessarily make sense for, here are photos from a shoot here is a 15-minute video, right? I don't think that Behance works really well for that in terms of marketing, kind of getting word out there to get clients. I think Behance is really great for case studies. I'd love to see 15, 20-second shots with your sketch of the setup or your lighting setup, right? Behance is about kind of having the holistic approach, not just the one punch. I think that other platforms are all about, like, here's the one image and that's the thing we're talking about. But Behance is really great for, hey, let's present the whole idea and the whole process, and that's where it can go. Nick, we have a question in chat. You want to go ahead and tackle that one?
Yeah, where do you find information on how to create a professional case study to post on Behance? Right here. Go back. We have so many great ones in season 1 of Office Hours.
It's true.
Make sure to check that out as well.
You know what?
There's plenty of people posting some really good stuff out there. It's on Behance to help you out.
Yep. Let's do this. Be Creative Digital Design. There's a link for you right there.
Right there.
bit.ly/ohrescue. Nick and I would love to do an episode all about Behance, about building an actual Behance case study. We can show you how to convert it over into a Behance or Adobe portfolio site. So submit your problem, and I think that could be really fun to tackle onto the rescue, is to build out some Behance case studies, because it has been a little while since we've walked through specific case studies. Do you have a link to season 1 episodes? Someone on the Discord does have a link to a playlist. We want a recap episode. We need to do this. All right, Nick and I will talk about it. Somebody submit that as a problem to our forum that they want to see case study stuff, because we can definitely go back there. All right, continuing on. Nick, Creative Cloud folders. I am just like Nick loves Adobe Dimension. I love Creative Cloud. I love the storage part of it. I am just an absolute fanatic. Libraries, all of that. So creating a Creative Cloud folder is a really great way to send a simple link to potential clients and target it with content, right? So if you guys go to bit.ly/ I think it's probably Adobe Abroad, bit.ly/Adobe Office Hours. It will send you to a Creative Cloud folder. I keep updating that with content as we get it, right? So for this show, for our last season, for the fall semester, there are folders in there that just have stuff. And that's a great way to have a consistent link that you can put whatever you want into, right? So if you know that you're sending to a specific client, you can put content in there that's relevant to them. You don't have to make a big pitch deck if they just want to say, hey, can we see some comps of the way that you tell a story? Sure, go to my link at bit.ly/SofiaG, right? And then that is your quick little, not portfolio, but your quick little, test for them is, hey, I got this, let's do it, ready to go. And I think that's a super great resource to have and to be able to just have on the go. I always have it on my phone. Again, I love Creative Cloud. I'll send files from my phone to clients. I'll send files to friends. I'll send files to promo right out of Creative Cloud and just have it with me anywhere I go, which is awesome.
Totally agree.
Nick, next one. Instagram.
Instagram?
Yep. And we actually saw this, so this is an easy one.
Yeah. We've kind of given you a good amount on there with stories, everything else. You seem to be doing good there. I would just add some video.
Yep.
Sure.
Absolutely. It's looking fantastic. Photo stories instead of single images. You got it. LinkedIn, Nick, just tell us about LinkedIn. I know you have a lot of pricing stuff to do, so just give us a...
Yeah. I mean, I'll go into it a little bit at the end of my slides, but again, oh my God, it's an uncharted area for designers, and particularly probably even for video.
Yes.
So post your stuff on there. You're going to get a person who is the decision maker, who has access to the budget.
Yes.
They're there. They're not on Instagram.
Yep,
so
exactly.
Don't forget that.
And Nick got really excited and I cut him off, so we're going to do this again. So Nick, what about LinkedIn?
My blue lights here, just for LinkedIn. See, I changed from red to blue. You probably can't see because of the lighting here.
You can kind of see it. Nick was so excited pre-show. He's like, I'm going to change my lights to blue for LinkedIn. I wanted you to have that moment. And here's my advice to kind of, before we go into pricing, if you don't have anything to say, be quiet. And that's not like, shut up. It's like, just be quiet. You don't have to be posting stuff all the time. Like Nick and I showed, if your website isn't working, take it out of your bio. You don't have to be promoting stuff all the time. You don't have to be posting all the time. I think that I've posted the office hours promos on my Instagram because I don't have anything to say right now because I'm working on stuff that will be big splash. I'm working on what's the next like viral moment. And when I'm ready to say something, then I'll say it. And so you don't have to constantly be promoting stuff. And next, intentional communication is better than constant communication. That's just my takeaway and my opinion. If you have something to say specifically, then post it. If not, you don't have to force yourself to post.
It's better than filler. I think the filler comes off as filler.
Yes.
We're seeing a lot of filler right now.
We are seeing a lot of filler right now. It's true.
Let's get a little spicy.
All right. We got 20 minutes here. Let's see how much we can get in with the thing that everyone wants to talk about. Money, money, money.
Yes.
Nick, just go. Like, let's just hit it and go.
Let's do some pricing.
If you guys have questions.
This is for you, Sophia.
Yes, if you have questions, drop them in chat or join us in the Discord after. So we'll be going to the Discord right at the end of this. Go ahead, Nick.
So I loved her question because I've heard this 3 or 4 times this week, hourly versus value. And for most of us, value works. And I'm going to tell you why it works and how you can change your pricing process to go value-based. It's better for you. It's better for the client. Let's say you are doing a video, and this is a perfect example. I know so many people that are in exactly her shoes. I don't think they're charging enough for the work that they have to do in post, right? And all that stuff. So keep this in mind. You're helping that company with their brand presence, improving their value and their perception to all of their audience, and it will help them drive sales. No one's hiring you to just look great. They're driving sales.
Yep.
So isn't that worth more than a few $100, right?
Yep.
For something that you're trying to do. So let's debunk that a little bit. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how we're going to go about it.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about hourly versus the other one. I don't know next position. So hourly versus value-based. There we go. I think the thing that's interesting is when I quote for video stuff, I always tell people that a minute of video is equivalent to an hour of editing, right? And that's kind of in their brain. They think,
Good idea.
oh, you'll just shoot it real quick and then you're like stitch something together and you just crop, and then you're good to go, right? And you're like, no, I have to watch all of the footage and find the moments and pick it out and assemble the story. Yeah. And so it's great to quote people when they're saying like, oh man, I want a 5-minute video and I want it for like, I don't know, what, $200? You're like, that's at least 5 hours of work for me, not including the shooting and all that. And so it helps. Exactly. Even photographers. Yes.
Same idea.
Yep. So Nick, sorry, keep going. Value-based pricing. Let's talk about it.
I got confused when I remember hearing value-based first. I thought, oh, I'm saying what a value I am, meaning inexpensive, cheap, right? It's not that. It's the value you bring to that client. So think of it this way, anchoring your price point against the value that you are providing to the client. So if that client's going to be using it heavy, right? That price point really shows how much it's important to them and how important it is. So tie your price to the project, to the client, and the end result. And that's why it could change a little bit. If I get a higher exposure client, my price is going to go extremely higher. Okay. So you got to think about it that way too. Okay. So it's okay to have different rates for different clients. Just don't tell them.
100%. I literally have a spreadsheet with rates and what clients are because it ranges. It ranges drastically depending on who the client is. And I mean, there have been times that I've worked on concepts or something for logos or whatever, right, that I retain the rights to if they don't take, right, that the one client takes it and then another client buys one of the rejected logos or ideas that didn't flesh out for way more because the value to them is much higher than this small company, right? That it's the same work, but you sell it at the value, which is a great way to look at it, especially with video stuff. Weddings, value's way higher because it's a once in a lifetime moment as opposed to, you know, like a beach party for a senior graduation or whatever, right? Weddings, premium because it's a high value. Just hangouts, B-roll is not a lot of value, and so it's not going to be quoted as high.
Exactly.
All right, continuing on.
So let's go into how do you figure out the pricing for that project. So I'm going to just show you, this is a typical list of my menu of services. Think of yourself as a menu, and you're showing them before the project, what do you want to hire me for? So when I give them this list, and this might look totally different for you, Sophia, but when you show it to them, this is where they get to go, oh, I can make a package here. It's not just wedding photography, wedding pictures, whatever it is. It might even be some other things after. I'm showing you a list, and in orange, for this example, this is what the client has picked. So not everything from my list, but enough for me to make a really, really good case study and a really good estimate. So figure out what it's going to be, determine your scope of services. That's great for your contract. Next slide. Now you go into crunching the numbers. So here's where I itemize everything, okay? I didn't show the pricing on here, but what I really wanna show you is how descriptive each entry in my presentation or my pricing goes. So you itemize each service, showing the value you're bringing, show each step in the process. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna calculate a fee rate, and this is hidden. We're gonna show you this in a second, but you calculate that and how many total hours this is going to be. So everyone, think about a project you're currently maybe freelancing for or doing. Think of how many hours it's gonna be. So write that down while we get into the next slide, okay? These are a great example of just my current rates, and it shows you it's different everything I do. Discovery rate and my design rate, that's where I've got 18 thinking caps on. It's about 150 an hour. My production rate is 75. If I have a junior designer come on board, it's about 50 bucks an hour. And then consultation, that's another thing we can all do as experts in our field. You have your own version of that. But I'm just gonna think about that. And I wanted to show you this because here's how you figure out yours. Okay, get your calculator.
And sorry,
ready.
just to back this up, I didn't know Nick's rates before we did any of the talk, and like my rates are pretty much the same, pretty on point with these as well. So it's not like, oh, he's Nick and like, he's thinking crazy. He's that often is.
No, it
like
takes a while to get there.
Yeah,
right?
it does.
And we're going to show you how you get there in a slide coming up.
Yes.
So here's what I want you guys to do.
Oh, retainer packages. Sorry, keep going. Yes.
Yes. Here's your calculator. So how you figure out what your hourly rate, and we're all different. Take your desired annual salary, and you should think about how many years you're in, what was your last job, what kind of yearly range would you be? And let's say 75,000 is your average. What you do is you divide it by 2,080, and that's the amount of working hours per year. And that will give you a rough estimate or some target to start at. This gives you $36 an hour. Okay, so let's just say that's what you are starting with. You can plus or minus this because there's 1,000 other factors to be considered here. But look at this next slide here. The scale here is all based on your experience, not so much years, guys. I don't want you to think because you have 15 years, that doesn't mean you're an expert. Okay,
nope.
Experts, everything that he said, credibility, flex, all those things you can do.
I definitely will hire. So we both taught at colleges, and I've hired like a junior in college to do a photo shoot over some of my friends that are, professional photographers in the industry, whatever. Cause I'm like, this kid knows what's up. Like he has shown the work and he is high end, and I'm going to pay the premium for that because it's not about time. It's about having that experience and having that unique perspective.
Go back to that first slide right before, because I think we forgot to ask. I want you guys to, if you feel comfortable in doing it, what was your hourly rate? If you came up with this, did you have a desired annual rate per year divided by 2,080? And I'd love to see what you guys have. So we'll go down one more slide.
Ooh,
so here's low end to high end, right? Low end, right out of school, still in school. Maybe it's about 20 to 25 to 30 an hour. Then it goes up to about 45 for that average graphic designer. Now, when you get more high end and more experienced, the 150 zone is kind of where you can start playing around.
And I go like 45 to 60, I think is average. And they're like 50, I'm like, great. 45 is like, yeah, okay. And so I think these all are like within that range. So don't lock yourself in at like, oh, I'm just like getting started. Might as well do 20. Try 25, see what happens. That's the thing. Quote until they say no. That's the best advice that I can give you.
Oh, right, exactly. And guys, whatever your number is, you can start messing around with that. Next slide, we're gonna add it all up now. So let's say Sofia's video project is gonna take her 20 hours to do. Now, go back to what Andrew said earlier, all that reviewing, all that editing, whatever. You should know by a previous account how many hours you really did spend on that thing. Add in the extra ones, emails, phone calls, in-person meetings, the travel time to and from, because she's doing a video. Maybe designers don't have to worry about that too much, but maybe a videographer or a photographer has to travel, has to drive. So keep those hours in mind.
Yes, and
36 was our, oh, go ahead.
so something great that I use an app called Clockify, and
Yes.
Clockify plugs in to Chrome. So the second that I open a client's email, there's a little button that says start a timer for this email.
Perfect.
And it will bill it to that client. And so literally I actually had a client's yesterday that I was emailing back and forth, and I was like, hey, here's the breakdown. Here is my production rate that I've been working on things. Here's the consulting rate for when we've had calls to review. And then here's my design rate when I've been doing asset creation for this project. And I have 3 different rates with them, and I'm able to track all of those hours and then quote out, hey, here's the total for the project. You have this many hours at this rate, this many hours at this rate, and this many hours at this rate. And it helps them feel, right, that they're getting this great value, because the time that I'm doing actual design work versus the time I'm just consulting, there's a good difference in those rates. And so they feel like they're getting a good value. So they invite me to consult more, and then I get more work than I would have in the past.
Perfect. I love Mimi's question. She says she's a designer with 20 plus years experience as a book designer, but she's pivoted to presentation design. Seems junior designer rates is underselling herself. And exactly that. You still coming with all the design principles of a book designer for 20 plus years.
Yep.
You're not learning something from scratch. You're just pivoting to a different deliverable. And I think if you were moving from that to video, okay, maybe that I can see a certain level down, but no. It's, you still come with that, and all the years of your service, all the years of you working with people. I think that's almost an equal range right over there.
I agree.
So here's a great example of how we've taken maybe a few $100s that she would have charged for a project, and now we're up to like $720, right? So it can add up very quickly. Next slide. On your next one, particularly with the next new client, try a different hourly rate, move up a little bit. Okay. If you found no hesitation with that last $760 or whatever it was, you're probably this is a great time to explore going a little bit higher. I always love doing it with a new client, because it means it's that chance to kind of like try it out again, you know? You agree?
And there are a lot of times that I have clients, somebody asked about retainers. I do lower pricing on retainers because it's guaranteed hours and guaranteed money for me. And so I, like Nick said, I love playing with pricing with different clients, different values, the amount of investment that I'm gonna have to put in it, the amount of brain power. There are friends that I've worked with for years and years and years that know how I like to work, that know how I like to get information. And it's like, cool, you're going to get literally like $40 an hour less than this other company that has no idea it's going to be a nightmare. Like, I'm going to work with you because it's going to save all of us time and it's going to be better. And so I think my hourlies, I think I have ranges from 65 for some stuff all the way up to 175 for stuff. And it literally is, where does it fall in this? How can I increase, right? That I've kind of inched my way up and up, and some haven't gone up. So I just left them there and they've gone up and up. And then you start to cut the lower ones and just move to the higher ones. And it's all just, it's not like a set, here's my hourly rate. It is, cool, what are my hourly rates and how can I maximize the hours that I'm putting in?
Yeah. And retainers are where the hourly is harder to hide, right? It's like the value based for a project, one time only or with an ongoing client, is a little bit easier. Now, I want to stay on this slide for 1 second, because that 20 hours you're seeing there, when you give the client an hourly charge, and now what it does is it puts them a little in charge of the project where it can go wrong. What if they're like, now they go, oh, this person's $100 an hour. I've only got this amount of money. So they're going to say, I need you for only 15 hours. Now, you can't do the job in 15 hours because it's going to probably take about 20. So here's where you avoid that awkward conversation where they go like, okay, we're done. And then the project's not done. Now you have a displeased customer. You're a little bit like, oh God, I don't want to keep doing this kind of job over and over again. But if you do this, trust me, the first 1 or 2 might be a little bit weird with the value basing, but you'll get to a point where you'll give yourself enough buffer. That's why I always say, add those extra hours in there. There's always more hours involved in a project than you're going to usually start off with and kind of estimate. So keep that in mind, because that buffer now protects you. So what if it goes to 22 and a half hours? Okay, big deal, right? You've already accommodated or customized for that. So I think this is why when you hear the value base, it's such a great way to try it. And I would really tell anyone who hasn't tried it, give it a shot, because again, now you can make that leap up and you're not letting them be in control with the hourly.
Yep. And I think we have a lot more to go, but I one more thing, and that is with retainers. If you can negotiate people into retainers, keep in mind that they're not buying your hours, they are buying away their hours, if that makes sense. So right, they're contracting you for 20 hours whatever, right? And they're contracting you for 20 hours a month, right? You are going to give them the value of 20 hours a month. That may take you 10, 12 hours to provide them with what would be 20 hours of value to them. And so in retainers, it's all about keeping them happy. And even if you're not hitting those hours, one, it's up to them to fill those hours. And two, if you're maximizing their value, right? Maybe you're working 15 hours and they're getting 25 hours of value, right? If they hired another in-house designer, that because you're fast, you don't need to suffer for being good. So the better that you get, don't try to shift your hourly rates, try to keep increasing them. And if it is a retainer client, try to get your hours as short as you can with maximizing the payoff for them. That's always my kind of mindset when I'm working with retainer stuff like that. Can we
go back? It looks like Dorina might have missed that one slide where we had the calculation for it would be number 21.
Got it. Yes. And all of this is up in our folder. I will be posting on Discord right after this as well, so you guys can have this whole presentation.
I hope that helps you there. You're basically where you are in your career and your experience, what kind of an annual salary you think you would get at a current job in your wheelhouse, and then take that annual salary and divide it by 2,080. And that'll give you basically an hourly rate. Also, this is another thing to keep in mind. You might be, if you're full-time freelance, you got to really up that hourly because of medical, insurance, 401k, all the other things that maybe that company might have been handling for you. Now, I know a lot of us are juggling both a full-time and the hourly. So, accommodate. This is really, really just a good baseline to start with.
Yep. And yes, so Golden Rose said, what do you offer for retainer? Yes, maybe that's correct. So basically my retainer clients, they get top priority of when they need something, everything else drops and I work on their project.
Oh, really? Okay.
And it also is access and time. So they can give me a next day deadline and like I'm going to get it done next day. So they become
interesting.
So they become so the top priority, and it just means that they can give me whatever projects and I am fully equipped to help with whatever and jump onto whatever falls through the cracks, and that I'm kind of the last line of defense against something falling through. And so the retainer clients that I have do shift. Sometimes it will be, I think that my retainers are for 15 hours a week, and sometimes it will be 10, sometimes it'll go up to 20, but I know that it flexes. And so I'm like, cool.
You have a plus or minus,
exactly. That I have a plus or minus in my brain that I'm like, cool. I want to make sure that you guys are taken care of, and you're giving me consistency, and you're giving me a certain length of commitment of guaranteed income that I'm totally willing to take this other client and say, hey, sorry, you're going to get your thing next week. I got to hop on something else, because one is absolutely guaranteed to me, and one is like, oh, this is just a gig that may turn into more in the future. So the guaranteed one always gets priority for me.
Yeah. And don't forget too, a client, you can read a client on that. When I've introduced the idea of a retainer to a client, you can instantly get if they are going to be favorable or not. And that's the beauty of it. If they are like, oh, we thought you'd never ask because we really wanted to do that, you're in, right?
Yep.
And I've noticed I didn't have to upsell my retainer. I just came up with a simple plan, figuring that average and with a plus or minus, and that was it. But I know what you're saying. A few other clients do want those extras, like the top priority.
Yep, exactly. And Golden Rose, so it could be social media as in banners. Yes. So for and I know that like Behance and Adobe and everyone wants to see like the big case studies and logos. My retainer clients are only production. I refuse to do creative work on retainer because my pricing for creative work is way higher than my production work.
That's a great way to
look
at it.
And so I only do production work on retainer. So they will send me and be like, hey, we need this booklet laid out, or hey, we have some pamphlets that we need done, or like that, we need social media images. I just made 40 social media templates. And it's like, hey, we need that. Sounds good. Yes.
Would you do retainer as a consultant?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I totally do retainer as a consultant.
Right.
Yeah. 100%.
Totally different because you're right. The design part's a little bit tough, but I did have to do that with one client, and that was the toughest one. I love the consulting one. They can have you and your knowledge at any time. And I think that's a really great way to start with and social media is a really good one, I think, as well too.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep. It's great.
Last slide.
Hit it, Nick.
Somebody already, I think I saw Elizabeth put this there. This is the thing to never forget. It's impossible to have all three of these as a designer offering to your client. You can't be fast, cheap, and good all together. They can only pick two. So a lot of times you might not have to say this to the client, but actually be like, hey, if your timing is crazy tight and you're really low on the funds, this might be a no. So that's your way of kind of figuring out if the thing is something you should even go and price out.
Yep. Somebody's wanted something fast and good, and I've quoted them through the roof, and they were like,
yes,
sure, we need it. Let's go. And like,
I did that last week.
Yeah. That's the thing, that it's like,
I haven't heard back from them.
Yes, exactly. So if it falls in this zone of fast and good, because I'm offended that they want those things, I want to offend them back with my quote. And if they take it, then I'm like, cool, everyone's offended. We're all good. Let's write some checks. Like, let's go.
Oh,
and so
it's not even, it's a double the rate.
Exactly.
I will double it. And I love the way you said it. If I'm offended, well, then maybe they should be offended by my price.
100%. And then if they are not offended, then I say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not offended at all anymore. I will gladly meet your deadline tomorrow morning with 90 assets. Absolutely. Cash that check to me. All right. Well,
I'm just so glad we have these forums that we can all talk about money like this, because you should have people to bounce it back off of.
This
is fantastic.
It's true. And we will be going. Yes. Dang it. I cut you off. I'm sorry. We will be going over to the Discord in literally 30 seconds. bit.ly/OH hangout over there. Oh, here's my shelf in focus now. We're going over there right now, so come join us, come hang out. We will be in the chatting channel right over here, and doing just a little wind down of the day, and we will see you there. Bye.